morning, everybody, and welcome to Morning Coffee with Jen Snow. And it's Friday, so happy Friday. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. So, this morning, um, we did not have technical difficulties, and you'll notice that we are not in my office in the mountains. We are actually at the farm on the coast, so a little bit different background today, but that's okay. We're on the farm, and it's the farm kind of day. So, good morning. Hello, Diane. Hello, Alex. How are you guys doing today? Welcome to the show. Happy Friday. Today I want to talk about our morning routines and the importance of them. And I thought I had some hay on my shirt. I was out feeding the ponies this morning. I was like, this could be good. Good morning, Stone. How's it going? Um, Morning routines. They are an interesting thing because most of us, we just kind of, our morning habits have been getting up, whether going to the washroom, getting a glass of water, just getting ready for work, getting on with our day, right? And that robotic kind of flow. And one of the things that I don't think that we talk about enough is the importance of our morning routine with setting our day up and how that can affect not our vibration, our frequency, our mindset, our energy, everything that we bring into any part of our day, whether it be the beginning of the day or the end of the day, the middle of the day, just like whether we're working or it's the weekend, because we're almost at the weekend, and we're out with family and friends, or we're just going out and taking some time for ourselves. Just allowing yourself that time, a little bit of extra time can really make a profound difference because when we get up, when we set ourselves in motion for rushing, you ever notice like when you wake up in the morning and you're late and your whole day gets into chaos, you know, you're tripping, you're running out the door, you're forgetting your coffee or your tea, or you forgot to take your vitamins because there isn't time because the day has progressed and the day has taken off on you and it's only just begun. And you just feel that frazzled inner feeling all day, that anxious, stressful feeling like you're constantly behind. You're always behind the eight ball, and you're not catching up. And what happens is when we wake up in the morning, we are still in that sleep trance. We're still in that meditative space between the conscious and subconscious mind, from our ability to access, our soul history, our soul knowledge, the parts of us, the pieces of us, whether it be integrated now or from another life or another timeline, another reality dimension universe, or it is a piece that we've been carrying, but it's been buried deep because, well, life has happened and we've had experiences that have compounded that belief systems, those limiting belief systems for some of them, and some of them productive belief systems, but they're active belief systems that help us shape our perception of ourselves and the world around us and how we move through the world and how we perceive the world perceives us. And they change how we act and react. They change how we connect with ourselves and those around us, whether it be our partner, somebody we're intimate with, our family members, our children, our parents, our friends, our coworkers, even strangers on the road, that we pass by every day. Everything that we emanate has an imprint that somebody will pick up on, and several somebodies, because we leave that imprint throughout our day. So we're constantly being in a place where we're receiving other people's imprints, but we're also leaving an imprint. And sometimes people's imprints can be so strong that it actually internally affects us, whether we're conscious or unconscious of it, but it kind of affects our vibration and our frequency if we are able to connect into that imprint, if there is something within us that aligns with that imprint. And if not, then it is just kind of like you move through the day and you'll feel it, but it won't be something that you carry. It won't be added into your suitcase of baggage that we take with us everywhere we go until we start to clear that suitcase and start to empty it day by day. But the journey that you go within, that space that you do that inner work, that realization, that action that you take on, a monthly, weekly, daily basis, depending on what your routine is like. So why I want to talk about the morning routine is because the mornings set us up. And when we can set ourselves up the way we would like to set up, it helps us roll through those speed bumps that we may encounter throughout the day. I'm not saying that it's going to change the events of the day necessarily. It can, but it might not always do that. But what it will do is help change the way those events of your day re, are impressed upon you, or the way that you carry those events of the day. And that is super important, because then we get into a space of response versus react. So when we're in a place where we can respond to something, we actually have the opportunity in that response to choose how we'd like to move forward, whether it's an acknowledgement, whether it's like, sharing a moment, or just saying, you know what, this isn't worth my time and energy. I'm just going to move forward. I'm going to move past this. And I'm not going to allow this to bring me down to that vibration, that lower energy, that lower frequency. I'm actually not playing in this pool today. But when we get into a reactive place, we are reacting from our past triggers. We're reacting from our past events, our past conversations, our past emotions, our past experiences. And that is, when we're reacting, have you ever had a moment where you've reacted to something, you're like, okay, that reaction for me was a lot bigger than, when you step back, you're like, oh, that was a lot bigger than it needed to be. And it was in the moment, and it caught you, and you were caught in it. And it was like you became the tornado instead of standing in the middle of it, looking at it going, I see you, chaos. I got you. But you don't get me today, chaos. I'm not playing with you today. I'm just going to watch you. I'm going to see what I need to do to, move through pass with the storm, so that the storm can pass and I can, have the rays of sun after that the storm has hit. So our morning routine can be a big stepping stone in our ability to choose how we want to respond to our daily events, our daily conversations, our daily interactions, our daily to-do list. I don't know about you guys, but I was thinking about this when I was thinking about the show. The other day, I did a video while I was, poop picking in the yard. And normally that would be a chore that, let's be honest, to do that chore. It's not exactly fun. But you get out there and you're like, I have to do this, blah, blah, blah. And you kind of, go through it and you get it done. But it's not like, hey, that was great time spent, high five. I got something out of that except for a clean yard. But I was sitting there and I was kind of just wandering around the yard, and I was listening to the birds, and I was, it was a cooler day. It was like this sunny kind of snowy day. Sorry, guys. This is my voice. And I just had a moment, like an aha moment, that even though I was doing a chore that I personally, it doesn't bother me. I don't like it. No, I don't know many people who do. But how it could be something that was actually filling my cup versus something that I had to do. And when I stopped to kind of like think about that, I was like, oh, wow. While doing this, I can connect with nature. I can listen to the sounds of the wind and the leaves. I can awe the fact that it's a like sunny blue sky above me, but snowflakes are falling. I can, put my hand on the trees in the yard and just kind of thank them for being there and being this sturdy structure that brings the birds and the nature and the sound of the wind and the leaves. Like, I started to reframe where I was at. And it made a whole difference. I actually felt amazing after that chore, where I was like, I wasn't like, okay, finally it's done. We're done. Thank God. Oh my God. It was like, oh, wow. That was like fun. And not that the action was fun, but the time spent in nature, I realized that I hadn't given myself the opportunity to be nourished by nature while doing something, a chore that isn't, yay. But when I gave that opportunity, my perspective and my mindset around that chore really changed. That, every time I go out there, instead of it having to be done, I can actually utilize that time in a different way. So, you're like, oh, I'm wasting my time on picking poo. Like, yeah. Instead of it being like that, or thinking about all the things that I have to do when I'm done this chore, because now I got to do some social media, like I want to create some new scripts, ideas for the group. Instead of doing that and being busy in that moment, I step back into the present moment and let the environment around me create a space of peace and calm for me. And that's what got me thinking about our morning routines. I am, in the past, I've always have my routines, but I haven't been as strict with them. Like, I have the ones that I do on a regular basis that never falter, But then I've been adding things in here and there, and I kind of change them up because the morning will change. Like I got to feed horses, or we're starting the morning show, and so I have to and I've let that in the past kind of redefine my morning routines, and so, but it's not how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be like we have these routines, we have these opportunities to really fill our cups before we even start our day. And making those adjustments or like letting them slip can really change how our day, our week, our month, everything progresses and the energy vibration that we bring into those days. So when you think about your morning routine, one of the things that, and we've talked about this on the show, is those positive statements. That is one thing I have let slip in the past, because you know what, I gotta get up, gotta go, I was late, and I was putting things ahead of the things that fill my cup, and I realized that that's not something I want to do anymore. And so I want to talk about that, because when I don't do those things, I feel this disconnect during the day. I feel this kink in the ebb and flow of the day. And I've noticed it over time. I've, sat back and reflected over the weeks that I haven't done it. And that creativity, that inspiration, that fire has been a little bit dimmer. It hasn't been quite as like, here we go. And I'm not, moving into the day feeling that way. I've just been kind of the opposite. Like, oh, like, let's, maybe today I'll do this. I get kind of like airy fairy. And spend enough time up here that me being airy fairy with my routines probably isn't the best thing. I have to really kind of make sure I ground myself back into this physical reality, because I like to spend time up in space. It's a great place to be, but we're here, we're human, we're souls having a human experience, so sometimes we got to be human. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, know. And those of you who are opening that side of me, you will know. And so I had to come up with my statement every day, and that's I pick non-compromisable things for my morning routine. So I can give up the cup of coffee in the morning if I don't have time for it. I don't want to, but I can't. It's not, it's one of those things that is a concrete thing that happens every morning. But my positive statement affirmations, by getting up and before I even open my eyes, going through the setting up of the energy, the vibration, the frequency that I want to attract, that I want to receive, that I want to emanate, that I want to share throughout the day. That is where it begins for me. And I do this before I even open my eyes. And usually I'm awake before my alarm goes off. So my alarm is kind of like, hey, okay, now you have to get up and get going with your active waking day. But I'm usually up about half an hour before my alarm. And it's kind of always been that way unless I've gone to bed super late. And then I'm like, no, 5 more minutes. But I stopped hitting the snooze button, because hitting the snooze button, guys, is like one of the worst things that you can do for yourself, because that puts you back into a deeper space. That puts you back into your sleep rhythm, and that makes it harder to get going. That makes it harder for you guys to wake up in the morning. So that's a little secret. If you can help yourself get up on that first alarm, or even like give yourself permission to wake up before your alarm, so you can go through your positive affirmation statements and intentions, and so setting up that vibration, energy, and frequency, that will actually help you wake up with a more clear mind and a little more clearly. And when you wake up, you're not in that stupor of fog that is still kind of like you're half asleep and you're trying to come out. If you're in that space, one tool, one trick is to actually count yourself out, like you'd be counting yourself out of self-hypnosis or a hypnosis session or meditation. 1 to 5. At 5, fully aware, fully alert, fully present, fully grounded, fully here, fully now. And for some, we don't use this, we're taught not to use this in hypnosis, but fully awake. But that will help kind of clear that fog. So if you kind of hit that snooze button a couple times and you wake up and you're like, oh, I am not with it today, close your eyes, count yourself out 1 or 2 times, and that should really help kind of bring you back here now. That's the sidebar there. But yeah, setting up those concrete, non-negotiable things for your morning routine that help fill your cup before you even start your day. And for some of you, it might be journaling, it might be doing a little meditation, it might be doing a recording, it might be, getting up and taking that cup of tea and sitting out with nature for a couple moments or 10 minutes or, whatever that is. But, knowing that morning routine is totally tongue-tied, as important as anything else that we do in our day. And We've got to start doing this because these things will start to make a difference on where our vibration, where we create from, what we're bringing into our co-creation of this physical reality and how that reality is imprinted upon everything. So, interesting topic right now before. Yeah, right? Yeah. 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 Delayed savings. Yeah. Nope. Wasn't that supposed to be gone by now? But hey, what do I know? But yeah, so those morning routines are so important. And think about this. You step up, you get up, you stub your toe, you set yourself in motion to attract or give yourself, you're talking to your subconscious mind. And you set yourself out like today's going to be one of those days. Well, when you say that to yourself, what does that mean to you? Does it mean that everything's going to go your way, or does it mean everything's going to go the opposite direction? And how many times in your life have you said that to yourself and then watch that day prove you right? I've done it more than I can count. And I'm like, and I don't realize I've done it. As you know, in the past, I wouldn't realize I've done it. And I'm like, I just totally messed my day up because it's going to be one of those. That is my statement where that means my day is going to be sideways. And I know it because I've imprinted upon that statement. Like, what is your statement that you've imprinted upon that sets you up? Is it setting you up for the day you want, or is it setting you up for the day that you're trying to avoid or not have? And that can be another key when you think about your morning rituals and routines. What statements are your key anchored statements, your compounded statements that align you with where you want to be, or maybe don't align you where you want to be? It's like magic, guys. We talk about this, and words are in a way like they're spells. They're their intentions, their energies, their vibrations, their frequency. And when we use our words, we are making a tangible commitment to that energy, that frequency, and that vibration. What has been your tangible commitment to your morning routine, and how are your emotions, your words, your intentions lining up with that or misaligning that? And that, we talked about this on the show before, so there's nothing new to you guys who have been here. But the catch, check, catch, change, that is, a routine. When we get into that, where did I set myself up this morning? Even if you step back for a minute and go, what did my morning routine look like today? All right, so that worked for me, that doesn't work for me. And you can step back and you can redefine that morning every day. And every morning you're going to reshape it till it gets into that space where you're like, yep, this is it. For me, like I said, it is before I get up, my alarm goes off. I go through I would say at least 5 minutes. I don't really time it, but I know it's a good amount of time where I just sit there with that morning statement of what I want to create today, where I want to be in my mindset, in my body, in my energy, in my vibration, in my frequency. And that leads me through. And if I find that I am making any kind of internal, external statement about something that doesn't align with that, I know, okay, you know what? I need to look into that. That is sitting with me. Obviously, every time I think of having this amazing day of creation and connection, I have this little voice going, it's raining outside. What does the rain have to do with how my day flows? Unless I let it have something to do with it. So I have to get back and change that. And because, rain means I'm going to be wet and cold. I'm going to be outside today. And I'm like, do I really? And that, even that little thought train can take me somewhere else for my day's energy and vibration. So I have to step back and be like, no. And reframe that. And that little, spending that time catching and changing and shifting that shifts my perspective of before I even walk out the door. And how important is that? So I bring that energy to everyone that I am connecting with. And so your morning routines can really help redefine how your day flows and how you flow with your day. And find something that fills your cup. Find something that enriches you, inspires you, supports you, and be kind to yourself in the morning. I know we have jobs, we have obligations, we have these responsibilities. We all do, and I get them, I feel them every day. But that doesn't mean that those are more important than your own cup being full. Because when you think about it, if your cup's full, when you go into those jobs, those things that you have to do today, those responsibilities, you are bringing a full cup to that space, which changes that space, which changes how that space and you co-create together. And it's about this co-creation. We are just learning as humanity the power that we have to create and manifest, to change and shift and bring evolution to the physical world and reality, the illusion that we are working and experiencing. And we're just in this like cusp of understanding that we actually have the power to start doing these things when we align our physical, mental, emotional, and energetic vibrational selves in a harmonic tone, all in the same space. And that doesn't mean there won't be hiccups. Doesn't mean there won't be interruptions, but there will be. There will be, and that's okay. But it's how we feed those interruptions. It's how we feed those days that don't line up with how we would like them to go. And there's this song, and I can't remember the name of it, but it talks about having two wolves inside, and the one that lives is the one that we feed. Well, if you think about it, what part of us are we feeding? What parts of our day are we feeding, and how are we feeding them with our energy, our mental energy, our physical energy, our spiritual, energetic, vibrational energy? How are we feeding those moments in our day? And do they line up with the part of you, the version of you that you want to be day in and day out? And that, like I said, doesn't mean we're not going to slip. Doesn't mean we're not going to like play on the other side every once in a while. Doesn't mean we're not going to have a day where we're like, oh, that went sideways. But it does mean that we can go, you know what, even though yesterday went sideways, that doesn't mean tomorrow's going to be sideways for me. I'm going to redefine tomorrow for me. And I'm going to wake up tomorrow and we're starting a new day. So start with your routine again and step back into it and give forgiveness, give compassion and kindness to the version of you that was yesterday that maybe, fell off the wagon for a moment, or, slipped and stumbled a little bit, or maybe reacted instead of responded, or got caught up in the chaos or the stress or the fear or the doubt. Just be kind to that version of yourself, because that version of yourself once upon a time was a part of your journey more actively. And maybe now you've been working on that, and maybe you've been shifting that. Maybe that's your lesson and pattern to unwind, but whether it be your present life pattern or a past life pattern or generational ancestral pattern that you're unwinding, be kind to that version of you, because that version of you in that moment was in that moment. And when we can show ourselves kindness, we begin to soften the armor, and we soften in a way that allows us to go, okay, you know what, yesterday didn't work, so today's going to work for me, and this is how it's going to do. And you go back to your morning routines, you go back to your daily routines that fill your cup, that inspire you, that show yourself that love and kindness and compassion. And that will, inadvertently, that will expand to the people around you, and the imprint and the footprint that you leave throughout the world on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis. And that's why, we talk about Monday's meditation. We did the little past life, connecting into the positive things. There's a really big importance, embrace of doing that. So that when we think about our morning routines, we don't have past baggage that is influencing them on the unconscious level or the superconscious level, that don't line up with the things that we would like to utilize to help fill our cup. So when you think about your healing journey, your your, your path, think about how that path is being affected, and where is that lining? Is it a conscious space, or is it unconscious? And if it's unconscious, you may not know exactly where it comes from, but you will get a sense of what needs to, what will lead you there, what will guide you to that root cause, that origin, so that you can create that shift. And spending time doing that will also help when you think about creating your morning routine, and the vibration and the energy and the frequency that you bring in, and the intent and the tangible intent, whether it be writing it down, saying it out loud, listening to it through your recordings on your phone, whatever you choose. it will start to free up that channel of connection. And when you free up that channel of connection, there's no past baggage sitting in there, kind of creating a roadblock. That energy is much more open to being returned to you from the universe. Don't be sorry, Alex. So yeah, that's yeah, we just want to really make sure that we have an open channel to connect to our morning routines and to create morning routines that set us up for success for ourselves. That success, when you're setting yourself up, it's going to bleed into everything else that you have going on, whether that be work or personal, professional, personal avenues of your life. When you set yourself up in the morning, that is naturally going to flow into the rest of the activities for the day. Think about staying in action, right? We all stay in movement. We don't have to force it too. This is the thing. Oh, I want to talk about this. Let's just talk. Oh, I love this when this happens. So one of the things that I've also been sitting with when I was thinking about today's show was, sitting with the routine of the morning was forcing the action. If you feel like you're forcing an action, like I said about, the other day having to do the poop picking chore. And when I first went out there, I felt like, I had to do it. There is no choice. I actually procrastinated on that bad boy, fully admit it. It's like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. That was the energy that I brought into it, was the forcing. I had to do it now, so I was being forced to do it. And that just, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm forced to do something, I am not a happy camper. I am not. When I feel forced, my hackles actually get out. It's probably something I should dive into because it doesn't really need to be that way. But now that I'm talking about this out loud, see, now you guys know what I'm working on next. Is my impression of what it feels like to be forced, like how I carry that impression of being forced to do something or having to do something. I just really dislike it. Yeah, a little insight into Jen there. Look at that. See? These conversations. I even figured stuff out about myself that I maybe need to like dive into while I'm talking. Thank you guys. But when you feel like you're forced, you are bringing a low vibration into that. Like it is like, don't force something. If something feels forced, sit back and ask yourself, why do I feel like this is being forced? Why is this creating this feeling and this emotion in me and this presence in me? And does, is it warranted? Is somebody actually pushing me, or am I, just, perceiving that or feeling that way because of my past experiences? And when it's forced, when we think something, like when we're trying to do something in the morning and it's definitely forced and it's not really aligning up with you, you're not really feeling it, you're not really connected to it, then it's not doing anything. It's just like positive affirmations. If you don't feel them, and you don't see them, if you don't like resonate with them, you're just honestly saying words that sound great, but if they've got that forced tone to them, like because somebody said, okay, if I do this for 30 days, I'm going to change, but you don't really, it's not your lineup, it's not your alignment, it's not resonating with you, it's not really vibing with you, then don't do it, because you're really then wasting your time. Find out how you need to shift that. Maybe it's not that you want to have a positive life. Maybe it's not that abundance resonates with you, but maybe it is having enough or something along those lines. Like you got to redefine the words when it comes to your morning routine or your statements or your daily routine or your evening routine when you go into sleep, whatever that looks like for you. Make sure it's not forced, because if it is, that's what you are attracting, is forced. Then that forced energy isn't comfortable. It isn't happy, like, hey, okay, I got this, I can do this. It's not inspiring in a way. It's kind of like that. Now you have to work. It kind of implies, I don't know about you guys, but when I think about it, it implies to me that I'm like having to go up a freaking huge mountain, or I got to go through a brick wall, or I got to climb over something. And there's a 1,000 different obstacles now that I need to overcome, even just to get to the other side. So take that tone out of it, take that energy out of it if you can. And if you're not sure where it's coming from, then kind of sit back and go, why does this feel forced to me? Where am I not, like, where is this not aligning with me? Where is this not resonating with me? How am I not resonating with this? How could I change this so that I do resonate with this morning routine a little bit more, my own words and my own energy, my own emotions? Like I said, what are you guys, what is your statement, your compounded anchor statement that puts you in flow with your day or puts go in the opposite direction. One of those days, when I say that, I can even hear the tone of my voice. It's like, here we go again, right? That is the feeling I get when I say that. And I know that's not how I want my day to go, but I've now attached emotion to that. I've now attached my vibration, my imprint, my energy, my mental power to all of that. Whew, not as much fun. Not as much fun at all. And if I don't catch that, if I don't change that, then I am now stepping into that timeline for the day. Think about your day in timelines. We think about our life in timelines, but if you think about your day as a timeline, where's that timeline lining up? Where are you lining that timeline up? And how do you want to line that timeline up? And can your morning routine change the timeline that you are walking in that day? Think about it in small steps. Instead of having to worry about your entire life timeline, let's think about it as a daily timeline. What is your daily timeline today? How is that timeline going to get you to your end results? There's your system, there's your process. Think about your day as a daily timeline. And that timeline can shift based on your morning routine. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it does. But your morning routine can potentially and hopefully positively influence the timeline that you're walking in, and the energy of that timeline, the vibration of that timeline, the frequency of that timeline. And then you support that timeline, or you elevate that timeline as you go throughout your day. And the more that your unconscious, conscious space begins to realize, like, hey, this is good, this is what I want, now we can go after more, achieve my goal, then that inspiration, instead of it being forced, it becomes inspiration. And when it's inspiration, now we are on the upside of creation. We're not on the low side of creation. We're not creating in a low vibration that attracts different energies. So there we go. That's today's morning show. So think about your morning routines. Think about what those routines would look like that resonate with you, that align with you, that harmonize with you. And what are your concrete morning routines? What are the non-negotiables? Stuff that no matter what is happening in the day, clearly if there's an emergency and you have to run, I get it. Like, there are days that happens, but outside of there being an emergency, what are your non-negotiables that you're going to spend time doing that fill your cup? What does that look like for you? And how does that look like for you? So when you think about action stacking, okay, so for me, like I said, I always wake up before my alarm, so that time spent before my alarm goes off is where I start anchoring in and compounding the vibration, the energy that I want to bring to every day. Thank you. You're awesome, Stone. I love that. I missed the morning show, so we're going to be doing this on Fridays. I love the morning show, and I actually thought about doing it on Monday, so I want some feedback on that, guys, if you guys would like the Monday meditations to be in the morning, or if you are good with a later time. But, what does that routine look like? What is your non-negotiables? And what tone are you bringing in them? What's your tangible connection to those morning routines? And what are your statements? What statements line up with you and for you? What statements do you have in your unconscious inner coaching that take you forward in the day you want, the timeline that you want, or take you into the different timeline that doesn't resonate with you? What are those statements? Because when you become aware of them, you can check and change them. So what does that look like for you? And then when you think about, you too, Alex, when you think about your timeline for the day, instead of thinking about it as your timeline for your life, what does a daily timeline look like for you, and what vibration do you want to walk in, and where do you want to create? So like I said, thinking about your systems and your processes. We all know that your end goal is there. We all know where you got, everybody has this innate idea of where they want to go at the end of, when we take our last breath, what we want to achieve, what we want that life to look like, that or better. You know what I mean? But what does your daily timeline look like, and how can you achieve that daily timeline? How can you support that daily timeline? How can you encourage that daily timeline? And remember, be kind to yourself. If you slip, forgive the version of you from yesterday. It's okay. That version of you got stuck. That's all right. You know what? give that version of you a hug and let them know that, hey, you know what, today didn't work out, but today, yesterday didn't work out, but we got a new chance here. We're gonna learn from yesterday, and we're gonna step into a different timeline today, and invite that version of you to be a part of the healing process instead of it being a failure or something that went wrong. Step back and like sit with that version, have a little conversation with that you yesterday, and be like, hey, I totally get where you went yesterday. So let's figure out why you reacted versus responded. Let's hit, what was that statement that you made that really set this in motion versus where we thought we wanted to go yesterday, and just start having those little conversations and that coaching time with yourself. It doesn't need to be hours long. It can be 5 minutes. It can be 10 minutes. It can be 2 minutes. I mean, you just have the conversation. The conversation will guide you, will bring you insight, will bring you knowledge and knowing about yourself, about what is working, what maybe you need some rediscovery and redefining. And it will actually open up that inner you to hear your real voice, to hear that you that is waiting to speak, waiting to communicate, waiting to be a part of this space of creation and this physical reality. And the more we wake that piece of us up, the more we become awoke. And the more we become aligned with our light body frequency, and we download it into this physical reality. And when we live from there, the world does change, timelines do change, and the vibration and the energy and the outcomes change. So what part of us are we feeding? What part of us are we nurturing? What part of us are we inviting to be a part of this process and this path and this journey? So thank you very much, every guys. I super appreciate all of you. Thank you for joining me this morning. For those of you who don't know, there is a new podcast coming called Sitting with the Herd, and I have partnered with some people, Kat and Nod, and some other really amazing healers, and we're going to be doing retreats with horses. So we started a YouTube channel. If you guys want to check it out, it's at Sitting with the Herd. Please give it a like and a follow. There's more content coming. I am just finishing the editing side and the uploading side, which will be uploaded while I'm on the coast because the internet here is way better than in the mountains. As most of you can see, there's been no glitching. And we've got a new TikTok too, Sitting with the Herd. So we're just trying to get that out there. We're going to be having retreats this summer, and we are inviting the equine soul and energy and herd to be a part of vibration, to be a part of it. So I'm really excited about that. So thank you for your time. Have the most amazing Friday and weekend. You guys, you got this. You all rock, and you are amazing souls. And thank you for being here. And I will see you Monday for Monday meditation. Yeah, I think we're going to do some more past life stuff on Monday. At least that's the feeling I get. So I will see. I'm gonna stay at the later time on Monday just because of the way the world is working when I'm down on the coast. So I will post that on Telegram too to let you guys know everything's in flow. And so have a great night. Bye, guys.